This is Rachel Ruth Tate, the Astrology Roadshow, and the astrology of December 12th. So we have a couple of aspects today. The major perfected aspect happened overnight, and that is Venus in Aquarius, opposite to Mars in Leo, Mars retrograde in Leo. And that happened around 2 a.m. Central Time. I mentioned it in my last video yesterday because that character and quality was imbued in the day before, in yesterday the 11th. But also it is going to color today. And Venus in Aquarius and Mars in Leo have opposite goals, but they are part of the same spectrum. Venus in Aquarius, right? Venus is love, pleasure, desire, joy. I said desire, that's a Mars thing too. It's what feels good to us, personal preferences, and it's what unifies and brings together. And Mars is action, movement, doing, and it's also severing, so cutting things, right? Mars is a weapon, Mars is a tool, Mars is a spear. Mars is the horns of the ram, right? Aries. And so having these two things opposite to each other, you have the unionizing Venus set against or in tension with a 180-degree angle of the nature of Saturn. It's an opposition. With Mars retrograde in Leo, it can be kind of like feeling optimistic and also feeling an intransigent situation. So potentially you can feel good about something even if there hasn't been any major movement on it. And I also think Mars is going to have us in Leo. There's something that we are stopping, denying ourselves, releasing for or from ourselves, or there's something that we are not doing. And in my case, this morning, right, I'm a Leo rising, that makes Aquarius, where Venus is, my 7th house of partnership. I stayed in bed a little extra with my husband. We stayed out late for our anniversary and stayed up late, right, last night. And so I didn't go to yoga. And I literally showed up at yoga yesterday, and this is a Mercury retrograde moment. I thought it was Thursday. It's not. So I showed up at yoga, and I have, arranged with my workplace that I get to come in a little late for yoga. So I show up there thinking it's Thursday. I walk into the room, and it's a heated class, which I don't take. And I'm like, oh, I'm in the wrong place at the wrong time. So I showed up there yesterday, didn't take the class, and then didn't show up there today and didn't take the class. So Mars in Leo, like for the love of my partnership and for the honest to God ease and grace of the morning, I got to play with my kittens and stuff. I just didn't do what I usually do, and I haven't been doing yoga this week. It's something that I love, Venus, but it's something that I have been denying myself, Mars retrograde in Leo, for a variety of reasons. And instead I have supplemented with, cardio at the gym. So that said, Venus opposite Mars, notice where you are feeling pulled, like a tug of war, or maybe where you are preferencing others, or where you need to not be so impressed by yourself. And so lunar aspects today, we have the moon in Taurus. So this exalted moon is making a sextile to Saturn in Pisces, and Saturn rules Venus in Aquarius. And so I feel like we could have some of the Venusian being preferenced over the Martian, right? Or Martial. And so, that resting and relaxing with my husband versus the activity of doing yoga, right? The moon sextiling, the moon in Taurus especially, sextiling Saturn in Pisces is like, we could do that another day. Like, let's flow, let's vibe, let's chill, let's relax, right? It's Taurus, let's be comfortable, let's snooze a little extra bit. And then we have the moon, and this is very late at night. So these aspects I'm only talking about today because they're happening overnight, and I think it can be helpful to have that context. So the moon is conjoining Uranus, and that's in late Taurus overnight. And then Mercury retrograde is also sextiling Venus around 2 a.m. Central Time. And I like that Mercury sextile. It kind of reminds me, like, okay, this whole dynamic with the Venus-Mars retrograde opposition is like Venus or Aphrodite being caught with Eris or Mars cheating on her husband, Vulcan or Hephaestus, and the only one who takes pity on her is Mercury or Hermes, and they actually end up hooking up, right? And funny enough, like, she gets in trouble for that infidelity and she gets caught, but at the same time, then Mercury's like, oh, you know, I still care for you, still think about you, still, you know, respect you. And she's like, oh, let me hook up with you. Anyway, that's the only time that Venus and Mercury hook up in the sort of mythology of things. But that's happening around 2 a.m. and with the moon close to Uranus or conjoining Uranus at that time, if your sleep is disrupted, if there's some like randomness that happens in the middle of the night, it probably is something not bad. So don't get too thrown by something that happens suddenly. You might end up getting a call and it's like, oh my God, is my child okay? Are they in a ditch? It might be your child being like, oh my God, I just found out I got a promotion, right? And God knows why they're calling you at 2 a.m. or, you know, midnight or whatever, but potentially some good news. Good news likely about the groups that we're a part of and about our role within it. And maybe it's good news about what we don't have, right? That Mars in Leo retrograde, like maybe there's a debt that was forgiven. And so that's no longer weighing on you. And you're like, yeah, that's awesome. Or maybe you're the one forgiving the debt for somebody else. Or potentially you're the one canceling a plan for your own ease and grace. Or, you know, you can get what I'm saying here. There might be some things coming together. There might be some things coming apart. Overall, likely good news.